The stars looked the same as they always had from Earth. People went about their day, worked their jobs, loved their families, and dreamed their dreams. No one suspected that alien eyes watched them from beyond the darkness of space. Lisa Miller sat at her monitoring station in the Global Communications Array in Colorado. Her job was to listen for signals from space, part of humanity's long search for other life in the universe. For 15 years, she had heard nothing but the empty static of distant stars and planets. Until today. The signal came without warning. Strong, clear, and definitely not natural. Lisa's hands shook as she checked her equipment again. This was no error. This was what humanity had been waiting for. Proof they were not alone. "Sir, you need to see this," she called to her supervisor, Jack Bennett. Jack walked over, coffee mug in hand. He looked at her screen and froze. The coffee mug slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. No one noticed. "Call the director?" he whispered. Now. Within an hour, the director had contacted the president. Within 3 hours, leaders from around the world gathered in an emergency video meeting. Fear and excitement filled their faces in equal measure. Then the sky changed. 37 massive ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They came without warning, without traversing the space between stars in any way human technology could detect. One moment they weren't there, the next moment they were. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built. Dark, sleek shapes against the blue of Earth's sky, visible even in daylight in major cities across the world. Panic spread quickly. Some people ran. Some prayed. Some stared in wonder. The ships sent no message for 6 hours. They simply hung in the sky, a silent threat or promise, no one could tell which. General Alan Shepard of the United Earth Defense Council gathered his officers at their underground base in the Rocky Mountains. "What are our options?" he asked, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Colonel Pete Martinez shook his head. "Our best missiles couldn't even reach them before being detected and destroyed. We have nothing that can touch those ships." "Don't know that for sure," said General Shepard. "We know nothing about their technology or intentions." As if in answer to his words, every electronic device on Earth capable of receiving a signal, phones, computers, televisions, radios, activated at once. The same message played everywhere in every language perfectly translated. "People of Earth, we are the Argonian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance is futile and will result in your destruction. Your leaders have 24 hours to surrender formally. Prepare to serve the Empire." The message ended. Silence fell across the world, followed by chaos. In the White House Situation Room, the President of the United States looked at the grim faces around her. "Can we fight them?" she asked. The Secretary of Defense shook his head. "Not with any hope of winning. Their technology is beyond anything we have." "Then we negotiate," said the President. "We buy time." Across the world, similar conversations took place in government buildings and military bases. Humanity faced extinction or subjugation. Neither option was acceptable. In a secret facility beneath the New Mexico desert, Dr. Samuel Garcia watched the message with different eyes than most. For 20 years, he had led the Quantum Defense Initiative, a project so classified that fewer than 50 people knew of its existence. The project began after a small Argonian scout ship crashed in the mountains. The aliens aboard died, but their technology remained. Dr. Garcia picked up his secure phone. "Madam President, we may have an option. Something we've been developing since the Roswell incident." "The what?" asked the President. "The real one, not the cover story," said Dr. Garcia. "We've had alien technology for decades. We've been studying it, reverse engineering it. We're not defenseless." In the United Earth Defense Council emergency session, General Shepard listened as representatives from every major nation argued about whether to fight or surrender. "Neither," he said finally, his voice cutting through the noise. "We do neither." The room fell silent. "The Argonians have studied us," he continued. "They know our military capabilities, or they think they do. But they don't understand humans. No species that leads with threats can truly understand us. He stood and walked to the center of the room. I propose Operation Trojan Horse. We appear to surrender while preparing to fight back, not with direct force but with subterfuge and cunning. We use their arrogance against them. Dr. Garcia was brought in to explain the nanite technology his team had developed. Microscopic machines, based on recovered Argonian tech but modified, with human innovation, capable of infiltrating and reprogramming alien systems. They'll detect any weapon, he explained. But these nanites can be carried by humans. They appear as nothing more than skin cells or dust particles. Once aboard their ships, they can slowly infiltrate key systems. Captain Frank Sullivan, an experienced diplomat, volunteered to lead the mission. Commander Olivia Wright, the most decorated Special Forces officer on Earth, would lead the military team. They had 48 hours to prepare before the deadline, The plan came together. A strange thing happened across Earth. The panic began to subside, replaced by determination. Humans throughout history had faced overwhelming odds before. It was, in many ways, the story of their species. In homes and shelters, in military bases and government buildings, people made their peace with what might come. Parents held children close. Friends called each other with words of love and courage. Strangers helped strangers prepare for whatever would happen next. The Argonians watched all of this from their ships. They saw the fear, the chaos, the small acts of kindness and courage. But they did not understand what they were seeing. To them, these were simply the death throes of yet another conquered species, soon to join the hundreds of others who served the Empire. Admiral Zax Voller stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked down at the blue planet. Another world to add to the Empire's collection. The humans would resist at first, as all species did. Then they would accept their place. He had no way of knowing that this small planet at the edge of the galaxy would be different, that the beings who called it home had spent their entire existence adapting, surviving, and overcoming. That in targeting Earth, the Argonian Empire had made the greatest mistake in its 12,000-year history. The first human delegation prepared to leave Earth. Operation Trojan Horse had begun. And with it, though no one yet knew it, so had the fall of an empire. 3 months passed since the Argonians arrived. On the surface, Earth seemed to accept its new rulers. Humans went to work, followed the new laws, and kept their heads down. The alien ships remained in orbit, a constant reminder of who was in control. But beneath this calm surface, a storm was brewing. In underground bases across the planet, the United Earth Alliance prepared for what they called Awakening Day. Scientists and engineers worked without rest, building weapons based on the data collected by the nanites. Soldiers trained in secret, learning how to fight an enemy with forearms and technology beyond human understanding. Commander Olivia Wright had not returned to Earth with Sullivan. She and her team had remained hidden aboard the Argonian flagship, moving through maintenance shafts and unused storage areas. The nanites had created small blind spots in the ship's security systems, just enough for 6 humans to survive undetected. "Status report," Wright whispered into her communication device. "Nanite infiltration at 96%, came the reply from Dr. Henderson on Earth. "All 37 ships are compromised. We're ready when you are." Wright looked at her team. They were tired, dirty, and had lived on minimal rations for months, but their eyes were clear and determined. "It's time," she said. "Send the signal." Back on Earth, Dr. Samuel Garcia entered the final command into his system. The nanites, which had been passive observers until now, activated their secondary programming. Across the Argonian fleet, microscopic machines began to alter the alien technology in subtle ways. Weapon systems were recalibrated to be less effective. Engine outputs were reduced by small, unnoticeable amounts. Communication systems developed. Slight delays. Nothing major enough to alert the Argonians, but enough to give humans an edge in the coming battle. Admiral Zax Voller sat in his command chair, reviewing reports from the various Earth territories. The humans were strangely efficient workers, adapting quickly to their new role in the Empire. Perhaps they would become one of the more useful subject species. His thoughts were interrupted by a slight flicker in the lights. Status report. He ordered. Minor power fluctuation, Admiral, reported an officer. Likely due to the integration of Earth resources into our systems. The Admiral nodded. Such small issues were to be expected during the assimilation of a new world. But it wasn't a small issue. It was the beginning of the end. At precisely 0300 UTC on July 7th, Operation Thunderstrike began. Hundreds of ships launched from hidden facilities around Earth. They appeared to be civilian vessels, cargo ships, passenger crafts, even private yachts. But each carried weapons developed using Argonian technology, modified and improved by human innovation. Lieutenant Eric Powell led his team through the suddenly darkened corridors of the Argonian flagship. The nanites had cut power to specific sections, creating a path for the humans to move quickly toward the bridge. Remember, stun weapons only, Powell told his team. We need them alive. The Argonians they encountered fell quickly to the modified stun weapons. The aliens had no internal security forces. They had never needed them before. No species had ever dared to attack an Imperial vessel from within. On the bridge, Admiral Zax Voller received confused reports from across his fleet. Power failures on decks 3 through 7. Communications with ships 8 and 15 lost. Unknown vessels approaching from Earth. The Admiral rose from his chair, anger visible in his normally expressionless face. This is impossible. The humans have no technology capable of... The bridge doors slid open. Lieutenant Powell and his team entered, weapons ready. Admiral Zax Voller, said Powell calmly. In the name of the United Earth Alliance, you are now our prisoner. The Admiral stared in shock. How did you get here? How did you bypass our security? We've been here all along, said Commander Wright, stepping onto the bridge behind Powell. You just didn't notice us. That seems to be a recurring problem for your empire. Across the Argonian fleet, similar scenes played out. Major Natalie Rivera led the attack on the engine rooms, securing them with minimal resistance. The Argonian crew, never trained for internal combat, surrendered quickly when faced with determined human fighters. On Earth, the civilian ships transformed into a coordinated attack force. They surrounded the Argonian vessels, targeting the weak points identified by the nanites. The alien ships, their systems compromised and their crews in chaos, could not respond effectively. Admiral Zax Voller watched in disbelief as the tactical display showed his fleet being captured ship by ship. This is not possible, he said again. You are a primitive species. You have no spaceflight beyond your own moon. You have no energy weapons. You have no... What we have, interrupted Commander Wright, is something your empire doesn't understand. Adaptability, creativity, and a very strong desire not to be enslaved. In the mountains of Colorado, General Alan Shepard and Catherine Blackwood watched the battle unfold on their screens. What had seemed like an impossible plan 3 months ago was now working perfectly. Send the message, ordered Shepard. Blackwood nodded and transmitted the prepared statement to all Argonian vessels. Attention, Argonian forces. Your fleet has been compromised. Your admiral is our prisoner. Surrender now, and you will not be harmed. Resist, and you will be destroyed. One by one, the Argonian ships signaled their surrender. The crew of the massive vessels, so confident in their superiority, found themselves completely unprepared for this turn of events. By dawn, all 37 ships were under human control. In a secure room deep beneath the New Mexico desert, Captain Frank Sullivan sat across from Admiral Zax Voller. The Argonian's proud posture was gone, replaced by confusion and anger. You lied to me, said the Admiral. All those negotiations, all those concessions, it was all a deception. Sullivan smiled slightly. Yes. Just as your peace offering was a deception. The difference is we're better at it than you are. The Empire will send another fleet, warned Zax Voller. A larger one. You cannot hope to defeat the full might of the Argonian Empire. Perhaps, said Sullivan. But here's something you should know about humans, Admiral. We learn very quickly. Thanks to you, we now have faster-than-light ships, advanced weapons, and detailed knowledge of your Empire's defenses and weaknesses. He leaned forward. We also have something else. Something I don't think your Empire has encountered before. And what is that? Asked the Admiral. The absolute refusal to be conquered, said Sullivan. You see, Admiral, you didn't just attack our planet. You threatened our existence. And there's nothing in the universe more dangerous than a species fighting for its survival. As Sullivan spoke these words, Earth's newly acquired fleet was already preparing for its next move. Humanity was going to take the fight to the stars. Captain Frank Sullivan adjusted his tie as the small Earth shuttle approached the massive Argonian flagship. His heart beat quickly in his chest, but his face remained calm. Years of diplomatic work had taught him to hide his feelings well. Behind him sat Commander Olivia Wright and her team of 5 Special Forces operatives, all dressed in formal civilian clothes. They looked like government officials, not soldiers. Each carried a small container that appeared to hold official documents. In reality, these containers held the nanite packages that Dr. Garcia had prepared. Remember, said Sullivan quietly, they expect us to be afraid. Don't disappoint them. The team nodded. Their mission was simple in concept but incredibly dangerous in execution. They would pretend to begin surrender negotiations while secretly releasing the nanites into the Argonian ship systems. The microscopic machines would slowly infiltrate the alien technology, gathering information and preparing for the moment when humans would fight back. The shuttle docked with the Argonian ship with a soft metallic clang. The humans felt a slight change in gravity as they entered the alien vessel. 3 tall figures waited for them at the airlock. The Argonians stood nearly 7 feet tall, with gray-blue skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and entirely black, showing no emotion that humans could recognize. Welcome to the Imperial flagship, said the center figure in perfect English. I am Sub-Commander Krell, aide to Admiral Zaxavoler. You will surrender your weapons before proceeding. Sullivan stepped forward and bowed slightly. We carry no weapons, Sub-Commander. We come in peace to discuss the terms of Earth's cooperation with the Empire. He carefully avoided the word surrender. The Argonians might interpret this as weakness, but it set the tone Sullivan wanted. Not complete defeat, but negotiation. The aliens scanned the humans with handheld devices. The team had been prepared for this. The nanite containers were shielded in ways that made them appear as simple data storage devices. Follow me, said Krell after the scans showed nothing suspicious. As they walked through the massive ship, Sullivan and Wright exchanged glances. The alien technology was beyond anything humans had created, but it wasn't beyond their understanding. Dr. Garcia's team had learned much from the crashed scout ship. The layout of the vessel, the control interfaces, the security systems, all followed patterns they had studied. They were led to a large chamber where Admiral Zaxavoler waited. Unlike his subordinates, the Admiral wore elaborate armor decorated with symbols of rank. His stance was proud, almost arrogant. Captain Sullivan, said the Admiral, your species has shown wisdom in accepting the inevitable. The transition will be easier for your people if you cooperate fully. Sullivan bowed again. Admiral, we understand our position. We only wish to ensure the safety of our people during this transition. While Sullivan engaged the Admiral in conversation, drawing the attention of everyone in the room, Commander Wright and her team carefully activated their nanite containers. The microscopic machines began to seep out, invisible to the naked eye, spreading into the air circulation system. Your species will serve the Empire as all others do, continued the Admiral. Your resources and labor will contribute to our greatness. In return, you will receive protection and purpose. Sullivan nodded respectfully. We would like to discuss how Earth's various governments will be represented in this new arrangement. Our world is divided into many nations, each with their own interests. The Admiral made a gesture that might have been dismissal. Such divisions are meaningless now. The Empire recognizes only its own authority. Your former nations are now simply administrative regions. Back on Earth, Catherine Blackwood coordinated the most extensive misinformation campaign in human history. As the Director of Strategic Communications for the Defense Council, Her job was to make the Argonians believe humans were accepting their rule while secretly preparing for resistance. Keep the messaging consistent, she told her global team, over secure channels. Show fear, show compliance, but nothing that suggests organized resistance. Let them think we're divided and defeated. Across the planet, carefully crafted messages were broadcast for Argonian monitoring systems to intercept. News reports showed people accepting the new reality with resigned fear. Military forces appeared to stand down, their equipment stored away. In reality, every factory, laboratory, and workshop that could be hidden underground or underwater was working at full capacity. The plans that Dr. Garcia and his team had developed based on Argonian technology were being implemented worldwide. New weapons were being created, new defenses, new ways to fight an enemy that believed the war was already won. In a secret facility, beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Nicole Henderson led the team monitoring the nanites on the Argonian ships. The microscopic machines were sending back data, creating a complete map of the alien vessels and their systems. They're working perfectly, she told General Shepard over a secure video link. The nanites have already infiltrated the environmental systems on the flagship and are moving into the communications array. Within 2 weeks, they should reach the weapons and propulsion systems. And they still haven't detected them? Asked the general. No, said Dr. Henderson. The nanites are partly biological, partly mechanical, not entirely different from some of the Argonians' own technology. Their scanning systems register them as harmless microorganisms, something like the bacteria that live everywhere. On the Argonian flagship, Sullivan continued the negotiation dance. Each meeting with the admiral or his officers was an opportunity for the nanites to spread further, to gather more information. Your planet has unusual resources, said Admiral Zaxvolar during their third meeting. Particularly your oceans. Few worlds we've encountered have such abundant liquid water. Sullivan nodded. Our oceans are vital to Earth's ecosystem. Any extraction would need to be managed carefully to avoid damaging the environment. The Admiral's expression didn't change. The Empire will take what it requires. Your concerns for the ecosystem are noted but irrelevant. After 2 weeks of these discussions, Sullivan's team was allowed to return to Earth to consult with the planetary leadership. The Argonians believed they were simply finalizing the details of Earth's surrender. In reality, the humans had successfully completed the first phase of Operation Trojan Horse. As their shuttle returned to Earth, Sullivan looked at Commander Wright. Do you think they suspect anything? Wright shook her head. No. They're too confident, too certain of their superiority. They see us as primitive, barely worth their attention. And that's their biggest mistake. Admiral Zaxvolar watched the human shuttle depart. He sent a message to the Imperial Council. Earth acquisition proceeding as planned. Full control expected within 1 standard cycle. Minimal resistance encountered. These humans understand their place in the universe. But as he spoke these words, billions of nanites were already working their way through his ship's systems, laying the groundwork for a resistance unlike anything the Argonian Empire had ever faced. The captured Argonian ships sat in Earth orbit, their sleek design strange against the blue planet below. Inside these vessels, human engineers and scientists worked day and night to understand every system, every weapon, every piece of technology that might help in the coming conflict. Dr. Samuel Garcia stood in what had been Admiral Zaxvolar's private quarters, now converted into a research lab. Around him, screens displayed data from the ship's computers, star charts, fleet deployments, communication protocols. Everything the humans would need to take the fight to the Empire. We've cracked their navigation systems, he told General Shepard, who had come aboard to see their progress. We can use their maps to plan our first moves. Shepard nodded, studying the star chart that showed the vast expanse of the Argonian Empire. How long until the ships are ready? 2 weeks, said Garcia. We've figured out how to operate most of the key systems. The biggest challenge was adapting the controls for human use. They were designed for beings with 4 arms. In another part of the flagship, Captain Laura Martinez reviewed her mission with her newly formed crew. Once a commercial airline pilot, She had been selected to command the first human-crewed starship to leave the solar system, the EAS Defiance, formerly an Argonian heavy cruiser. "Our mission is simple but critical," she told her team. "We will establish a forward base in the Proxima Centauri system. This will give us a foothold outside our solar system before the Empire can respond to the loss of their fleet." The crew, a mix of military personnel and civilian specialists, listened intently. All had volunteered for this dangerous mission, knowing they might never return to Earth. "The journey will take 3 days using the Argonian faster-than-light drive," continued Martinez. "Once there, we'll deploy the automated defense systems and begin constructing the base. If all goes well, the rest of the fleet will join us within 2 weeks. Lieutenant Paul Wilson raised his hand. "Captain, what do we know about Proxima Centauri? Are there any habitable planets?" "Yes," said Martinez, bringing up an image on the main screen. "The Argonian database shows a small rocky planet in the habitable zone. It has atmosphere, water, and basic plant life. No intelligent species. The Empire surveyed it but deemed it too insignificant for colonization. Their loss, our gain," said Wilson with a smile. Meanwhile, in a secure facility beneath London, Dr. William Cooper led the interrogation of Admiral Zax Villar and other captured Argonian officers. Unlike traditional interrogations, these sessions focused on understanding Argonian psychology, technology, and military strategy. "Tell me about your quantum entanglement communications," said Cooper, sitting across from the Admiral. "Our scientists are particularly interested in how you maintain coherence across such vast distances." Zax Villar remained silent, his black eyes revealing nothing. Cooper sighed. "Admiral, we're not asking for military secrets. We already have access to your ship's systems. What we want is context, understanding." "Why would I help you?" asked the Admiral finally. "Because the better we understand each other, the more likely we can find a resolution that doesn't end in more bloodshed," said Cooper. After a moment's hesitation, the Admiral began to explain. The Argonian communication system relied on quantum entanglement relays, massive stations positioned at strategic points throughout the Empire. These relays allowed instant communication across thousands of light years. "The main relay for this sector is at Argos Prime, our homeworld," said Zax Villar. "Without it, ships in this region would be isolated, forced to rely on standard light-speed communications. This information was precisely what the humans needed. If they could disrupt these relays, they could effectively blind entire sectors of the Empire." 2 weeks later, Earth's new fleet was ready. 35 ships crewed by hastily trained but determined humans prepared to leave the solar system. 2 ships remained behind to protect Earth in case of an Imperial counterattack. On the day of departure, people around the world watched as their defenders, armed with stolen technology and fierce determination, vanished into the depths of space bound for Proxima Centauri. Captain Martinez's ship, the Defiance, arrived first. As promised, the journey took just 3 days, a distance that would have taken human spacecraft thousands of years to cover with previous technology. "Begin scanning procedures," ordered Martinez as they entered the Proxima Centauri system. "Deploy defensive satellites at the system's edge. I want early warning if any Imperial ships approach." The crew worked efficiently, setting up the foundation for Earth's first off-world military base. The small rocky planet, which they named Hope, proved even more suitable than expected. Its gravity was slightly less than Earth's, but its atmosphere was breathable with minimal filtering. Back in the Sol system, the Argonian Imperial Council finally learned of their fleet's defeat. The news came not from their ships but from long-range monitoring posts that noted the vessel's strange behavior. "Impossible," said High Commander Vextor, leader of the Imperial military. "A pre-spaceflight civilization cannot defeat a standard conquest fleet," but the evidence was undeniable. The monitoring posts reported Argonian ships performing unusual maneuvers in Earth orbit, then most of them vanishing, presumably jumping to other star systems. "Send Battle Group 7 to investigate," ordered Vextor. "If the humans have somehow captured our ships, they must be recovered or destroyed before they can learn our technology." The council members agreed but made a critical error. Instead of sending overwhelming force immediately, they dispatched only a single battle group, 5 warships, to clean up the situation. They still could not believe that humans posed a real threat to the Empire. Battle Group 7 arrived at Earth 9 months after the initial invasion. By then, the planet seemed abandoned. All major population centers had been evacuated to underground facilities or to the newly established colonies around Proxima Centauri and other nearby stars. No significant life signs detected, reported the captain of the lead ship. Sensors indicate most humans have fled the system. Search for our missing ships, ordered the battle group commander. As the Argonian vessels began their scan, they triggered the automated defense grid left behind, a sophisticated system using both Argonian and human technology. Millions of nanites swarmed toward the Imperial ships, carrying a quantum virus developed by Dr. Garcia's team. The virus infiltrated the battle group's systems upon scan initiation. Within minutes, all 5 ships were dead in space, their crews unable to even send a warning back to the Empire. Earth had won its second victory, but the real war was just beginning. 2 years passed since the first Argonian ships appeared in Earth's sky. Humanity had spread to 12 star systems. Each new colony strengthened their position, creating a buffer zone around Earth. The captured Argonian technology had been improved, adapted to human thinking and needs. Colonel Richard Dawson stood on the bridge of the EAS Liberty, formerly an Argonian battleship. His mission was the most dangerous yet, infiltrating the heart of the Empire to strike at its central communications hub. "All systems ready, Colonel," reported his second-in-command, Lieutenant Susan Chen. "The ship's signature has been altered to match Imperial profiles. As far as their sensors can tell, we're battlecruiser dominance returning from patrol." Dawson nodded. "And our special package?" "Dr. Henderson's team delivered it this morning. The quantum virus is ready for deployment." Dr. Nicole Henderson was perhaps the most brilliant mind to emerge from Earth's desperate war effort. She had taken the nanite technology developed by Dr. Garcia and merged it with her own innovations in quantum computing. The result was a virus that could spread through the Empire's communication network, disrupting their ability to coordinate their vast forces. "Begin approach to Argos Prime," ordered Dawson. The Liberty dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Argonian home system. Ahead lay the heart of the Empire that had thought to conquer Earth so easily. A system with 3 inhabited planets orbiting a red giant star. The central planet, Argos Prime, was surrounded by massive space stations and defense platforms. "Imperial control to battlecruiser dominance," came a voice over the communication system. "Transmit authorization codes." Lieutenant Chen sent the codes they had obtained from Admiral Zax of Voler's ship. There was a tense moment of silence. "Codes accepted. Proceed to Docking Station 14 for debriefing." The crew of the Liberty maintained their composure as the ship moved deeper into enemy territory. They had trained for months for this mission, learning Argonian protocols and procedures. Most had volunteered knowing they might never return to Earth. As they approached the massive communications hub, a station larger than Earth's moon, Dawson gave the final order. "Deploy the virus." Small, stealthy drones launched from the Liberty, each carrying part of Henderson's virus. They attached themselves to the outer hull of the communications hub, then released swarms of nanites that infiltrated the station's systems. On Earth, in the United Earth Alliance headquarters, General Alan Shepard and Catherine Blackwood monitored the mission's progress. "The virus has been deployed," reported a communications officer. "Beginning to spread through the Imperial network." Blackwood turned to Shepard. "If this works, we'll be able to broadcast the truth to every world in the Empire. Show them that their masters aren't invincible." "And if it doesn't work?" asked Shepard. "Then we've just revealed our position to the entire Imperial fleet," said Blackwood grimly. Back on the Liberty, alarms suddenly sounded. "We've been made!" shouted Lieutenant Chen. "Defense platforms are powering up weapons." "Begin broadcast now," ordered Dawson. "We may not get another chance." The virus had already spread through the communications hub, giving them temporary control of the Empire's broadcast system. Chen activated the prepared message, a simple statement of truth. translated into every language used in the Empire. People of the Argonian Empire, we are humans from Earth. 2 years ago, your rulers attempted to conquer our world. They failed. Their ships were captured, their crews defeated. Your empire is not invincible. Your masters have lied to you. Join us in creating a galaxy where all species are free. The message repeated, accompanied by images of the captured admiral, Zaxvalar, and footage of human ships defeating Imperial forces. It broadcast to every corner of the Empire, reaching worlds that had been under Argonian control for thousands of years. The Liberty came under heavy fire as it attempted to escape the Argonian home system. The ship took multiple hits, systems failing across all decks. "Can we jump to light speed?" asked Dawson as the bridge shook from another impact. "Engines at 40%, reported Chen. "It's going to be close." As Imperial ships closed in from all sides, the Liberty made one desperate jump. The damaged engines strained, threatening to tear the ship apart. Then suddenly, the stars stretched into lines as they escaped into faster-than-light travel. "We did it," said Chen, her voice filled with exhausted relief. "Message delivered, and we're still alive." "Set course for the rendezvous point," ordered Dawson. Let's hope our message had the desired effect. It had. Across the Empire, subject species, who had lived under Argonian rule for generations, saw proof that their masters could be defeated. Rebellions erupted on hundreds of worlds. Imperial forces, unable to communicate effectively due to the virus, struggled to respond. 6 months later, Captain Frank Sullivan, now Admiral of the Earth Fleet, stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Imperial Palace on Argos Prime. Beside him stood representatives from Earth and from dozens of formerly subjugated worlds. Across from them, the Argonian Emperor and what remained of the Imperial Council faced the reality of their defeat. "The terms are non-negotiable," said Sullivan. "The Empire as it existed is finished. In its place, we propose a galactic federation, where all species have equal representation." "And if we refuse?" asked the Emperor, his voice cold with anger. "Then we continue the war," said Sullivan simply. "But your forces are in disarray, your subject worlds in rebellion, and your communication system compromised. I don't think you want that." The Emperor looked at the representatives of formerly conquered species who now stood as equals before him. For 12,000 years, the Argonians had believed themselves superior to all other life forms. Now they faced evidence that they were not. "We accept your terms," said the Emperor finally. The treaty, signed on March 15, 2078 by Earth's calendar, contained a phrase that would define the new era. "No species shall claim inherent superiority over another, for diversity is the universe's greatest strength." Admiral Sullivan returned to Earth a hero. At a celebration in what had once been the United Nations building in New York, he raised a glass to the memory of those who had given their lives in the conflict. "We did not seek this war," he told the assembled leaders of humanity. "But in fighting it, we discovered something about ourselves. We are stronger, more resourceful, and more determined than even we knew, and we have earned our place among the stars." In the centuries that followed, as humans and aliens worked together to build a more just galaxy, historians agreed on one thing. The Argonian Empire's greatest mistake wasn't attacking Earth. It was underestimating humans. A simple phrase became common wisdom throughout the galaxy, taught to every spacefaring species and diplomat. Never underestimate humans. It was more than a saying. It was the foundation of peace,